Rams, we're in an interesting period in our kind of social commentary timeline
Hmm.
where contrarianism is being mistaken for consciousness.
Yeah.
And plainly, contrarian ain't conscious. Uh, Critical thinking liberates, informs, educates. Performative contrarianism just entertains the oppressor. And today, I think we really need to talk about a very specific cultural moment that's happening within our community, especially online. A wave of young Black voices framing themselves as independent thinkers, right? Anti victimhood or realist are really just operating like cosplay contrarians, thinking that disagreeing with the masses automatically makes them more enlightened. I'll echo this as much as I can. Critical thinking is powerful. Contrarianism is just some veiled, thin personal branding. Luckily, some folks know the difference. The trouble is, too many don't. We're seeing Black content creators proudly declaring racism doesn't matter. The government isn't harming us. Systemic inequality is a myth. Being anti vax is empowering. And framing oppression or the acknowledgement of oppression as weakness in the name of not being a victim. I call it intellectual peacocking. Loud, confident, well produced, but very little in the way of fact checking and homework and doing any type of investigative research. We have a generation raised in an algorithm driven contrarian culture that are confusing reaction with reason and provocation with power. So speaking to the psychology behind it, let's be compassionate for a second. This is what happens because this didn't come out of nowhere, Ramses. This is what happens when a community is tired of carrying generational trauma. Young men, especially, are terrified of appearing weak or
Hmm.
scared or
Yeah.
vulnerable. Trauma is repackaged as toughness.
Hmm.
Individualism gets mistaken for liberation. And the internet, God bless Beyonce's internet, rewards hot takes almost instantly instead of hard truths, because those hard truths, again, require time, research, vetting. For some, they don't even understand the betrayal. It's kind of a coping mechanism. Coping, however, is not the same as confronting, which is what we need to do. Denial, pretending something is not happening, does not free you from it. It more like presses pause on the reality that we're living through. So to scream or say or raise your fist proudly and declare, I am not a victim, you know, I applaud the attempt at empowerment. But let me tell you why that's dangerous. Empowerment that refuses to acknowledge reality is not strength. It's delusion as you pretend to be disciplined. Here's the trick. Deny racism, deny history, deny exploitation, deny systemic power. You think you look strong. Nope. You're just uninformed and unarmed. While you're performing, I'm above oppression, the systems that you refuse to name and call out, they work overtime on your life too, your health too, your community and your future. So the swag that you're performing on your camera or on your social media does not replace what we actually need, which is some strategy to overcome these things. And trust me, this is from an old playbook. Understand this. This performance did not arise organically. Systems love a compliant dissenter. For centuries, the most effective form of control has been getting the oppressed to police their own pain, mock their own suffering, punch down, deny their own history, and stand with power, hoping that power will stand with them.
Mm.
Once again, this is not enlightenment, internalized propaganda. And unfortunately, everybody has a podcast mic. Divide and Conquer got an upgrade. Now it comes with HD cameras and ring lights. Real critical thinking isn't rejecting the mainstream. It's interrogating everyone, including yourself. Real strength isn't pretending that racism disappeared. It's dismantling the structure that depends on your silence. Real sovereignty is not stating I don't need anybody. It's joining forces so nobody can deny you anything. Being unbothered isn't liberation. It just proves that you're uninformed. We don't need more I don't see race or I don't see color prophets. We need solutions, architects, coalitions, builders, and people like Ramses Ja, truth tellers. If your independent thinking always magically supports systems that harm you and your people, you're not rebelling, you're recruiting for them. Critical thinking will free us. Contrarian cosplay just entertains the oppressor.